You started the studio, 4 floors, New York City.
Yeah.
You were homeless.
Homeless for 12 years.
For 12 years?
Homeless for 12 years.
Walk us through. You talk about a startup journey, right? Walk us through this. You go from homeless and you build lounge studios where we're sitting in New York City today.
It's here after a long, long journey. But yeah, it started off with me coming from Cleveland, Ohio. A native Browns fan. Anything Cleveland, die hard. I actually have a tattoo of Cleveland written across my back. And I'm not joking. It's about this big. But yeah, I came here with like $50. I didn't, everybody comes to New York.
Yeah.
Aspirational. It's like the city where you make things happen.
Right.
And I had $50. And of course, there were a few family members trying to talk me out of it. I had just graduated from college and with a degree in sociology, criminology. So it's like, you're going to New York to do music and you have no money. You just got to finish paying off your college parking tickets. But I did. I came here and originally I wasn't homeless. I stayed in the Bronx, 224th Street. The only place I could afford was a 1 room. I shared the kitchen, shared the bathroom with 4 other people on the floor. And I just had a little room and I had a futon. I worked at the Department of Juvenile Justice. I worked with at-risk youth that were locked up. And we made less than nothing, as I'm sure you can imagine, that type of job. I was making, I think, like $24,000 a year, working about 70 hours a week. But I saved every penny during that to get a space. And it ended up being, in Manhattan. And when I got the space, there came a point where I couldn't afford, even though it was cheap, I was just renting a room. There came a point where I'm trying to buy material for the space. I'm trying to get wood. I'm trying to get drywall because I built all of these places myself by hand. Absolutely no help. Not another person helped with this.
Right. And these are recording studios that are used by some of the biggest names in the music industry.
The biggest names. I'm sure when you walked in, you saw Mariah Carey.
I saw Mariah Carey up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin Bieber, Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
You name it. We've had literally everybody in the music industry through these doors and work with them and still do to this day.
Yep.
But it came a point where I couldn't afford both. So I had to make a decision, like, can I build this place? And it would have took forever. It took over a year and a half to build the first room.
So you're renting it.
I'm renting the place.
And building it as you did that.
A few pieces of wood at a time. I was making no money. And I couldn't afford to get the wood or the drywall sometimes. I couldn't afford to get it delivered. So sometimes I would walk from Home Depot. Sometimes it would be the Home Depot in Queens, because they don't sell like wood materials here in this one. I would get on the train with like 8 2x4x8s. Everybody's looking at me crazy on the train. They're like, he's not going to come. And I would just sit there. Everybody would look at me crazy, and I would be sweating profusely by the time I made it back to Manhattan. It's a 45-minute trip. And I did that every time I got paid. I would go get a little more material and come and build and get a little more material. That lasted until I ended up building the space. But I had bigger dreams than just having one studio.
Yeah.
So it was like, do I go get a place now? Or do I like go for my ultimate dreams, like to really like take over the music industry and do all of these things? And I understood that I couldn't do both. So I had to put my comfort off for a while. I never imagined 12 years.
Okay, but when you say put your comfort off, because there's a lot of founders that are probably listening to this today that think, oh, I'm super uncomfortable. We might run out of money and I'm not sure.
But I'm roughing it.
They are not, like when you say we put my comfort off, you actively made a choice to become homeless.
Yes.
To start.
Yes. And even in the beginning, I slept sometimes in the playground in Queens, or because I had a little Isuzu 1990 Isuzu rodeo. I would sleep under the bridge over there in my truck. But yeah, it was a choice that I made. Like, am I serious about this? It's about priorities, right? And that's one of the things we'll get to later. It's not everybody's journey, right?
Right.
But sometimes if you're strong enough to handle some things, that's your journey. And it was something that I made a decision that I felt like I was strong enough to handle. And imagine like no privacy. So no bathroom, no shower. I had to go to, you remember Bally's back in the day? I had a Bally's membership. Yeah. So I would go there. That was my shower. That was where I would go brush my teeth. That's where I would, and it lasted longer than I thought, but I don't regret a moment of it.
You weren't married at the time.
No. I couldn't keep a girlfriend at the time.
It's a little hard to bring a girl home.
Oh,
Where do
yeah.
you live?
Oh, yeah.
I got
No,
this
no, where do
bench
you
over
live?
in Queens. Yeah. Sorry, I got to make a Home Depot run. It's going to take me about a day and a half.
Why don't you
to
come visit me at work?
get-